Alright then. So, welcome everyone. Well, it's not showing up on stream just yet, but welcome everyone. I'm Ozdhaka. I'm the one who's going to be running Hyperdimension Neptunia U Action Unleashed. Nice little game that Tamsoft made back when it was originally made on Vita, but has since been ported to the PC. It's on Steam, and it's also surprisingly now on GOG since a few months, since November of 2021, last year. So it's kind of weird being able to buy that on GOG too, but you're seeing some more of them pop there too. So, anyways, this is a little game that, oh man, we're just waiting a little bit, but yeah, it's a fun little game. It's also a fairly short game on the any percent section. I don't know if I want to meme really hard yet and just try to figure out how we're gonna run the 100% quests one, but that's on the back burner for now. So, without further ado, since we're up and running, let's go ahead and start this off. We're gonna go ahead and start with the candidate. Huh?
You can give me the countdown.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start this off in we're gonna go start this off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Alright, thank you. So, the users, well, we can choose to either do the CP article or the candidate article, but I usually pick the candidate article first because that's the one with the hardest skip in the game. And we're going to be doing quite a few skips in the game, well, just a whole 5, but this is the hardest one to perform. So, we're going to start off here with Netgear and Ram. Now, Netgear is not going to be used a whole lot during this run, since she's the one, since her only real use is to facilitate movement in this particular stage, because of the 4 that are available in the candidate article scenario, as you can see, Netgear can do dash canceling with hers the fastest. So here's the first skip, and thank you, Sir Cadio, for finding the heavy attack version of that skip, because trying to do that skip with the light attack that Ox would regularly do is not fun. Come on, guys. It's not fun at all. So, afterwards, we're gonna have to deal with these robots who paralyze, and then once we get the initial 10 kills on those guys, we can actually transform and actually do the last part of this stage where we just go kill a bunch of enemies until 50 of them die, and then, hey, look, this giant dog shows up, and now we can just go ahead, EXE the living snot out of it, and get rid of it. Now, while Netgear is not going to be used a whole lot during this run, Ram is going to be the one who's going to be carrying, well, at least half the stages in this run, because she's the one that's going to do a lot of slaughtering. The tornado thing's pretty nice, but it's her transformation where she can point blank her attacks, where her point blank attack can do 11 hits and can scale really well with damage, of which we're going to be getting one significant damage booster later, but we got to go ahead and go through both of these articles first. Now, we did end up killing some sunfloweries throughout that stage too, and that's actually important because the sunflowers that we need are the sunflower mouse that we need is going to be used for one of the 2 ions that we need to collect for this run. So for now, with a CPU article, we're going to go ahead and pick 2 other characters. Neptune is only going to be here to help us with the skip in this stage, while Vert is the other main movement character of this stage. While Ram goes out and kills a lot of things, Vert goes around and helps move around things a lot, because her dash canceling is the fastest, because her heavy attack can also dash, and we actually want to go ahead and use her untransformed version of her, because her dash, while untransformed, has a faster wind up, and it also goes farther than her transformed version. So here we're gonna go ahead and make sure we have at least 35 kills, and at least maybe more than that, because sometimes if you don't do that, the enemy, the rival mech that spawns at the end of this stage sometimes doesn't spawn, and then you have to go back. It's like, I don't want to put up with that. So let's go ahead and kill this rival mech and just be done with this. Yeah, there's a lot of spamming EXEs against bosses, and one of the sunflower item that we're going to need is one of the items that allows us to start on EXE instead of having to do a lot of killing, having to do at least 91 kills before we were allowed to transform. So after those 2 articles are done, we're gonna have to skip a cutscene, and then we're introduced to the 2 journalists that are not always, that are very rarely playable in the other NEP games, but hey, this one in Plants vs. Zombies, they're definitely playable. So the first one we're gonna play with is Dengekiko, and she's the second best at doing the whole damage thing. She can actually do a pretty solid number of hits with her attack when you launch enemies into the air, but the problem is she has to launch enemies in the air, and that tends to slow things down a little bit. So for now, we have to go ahead and, while we have to aim for 200 kills here, we also have to aim for 4 item drops. They look like little treasure chests like that, and we need 4 of those. We need 3 of them in order to be able to transform. Right now we've collected 2, and while we're also doing that, we also have to make sure we, since there's sunflowers spawning here too, we're going to go ahead and make sure we kill some of them as well to help keep our metal grind on that going. So once we transform, we're just going to go ahead and aim to fill out the last get to the rest of the 200 kills here, where the boss would then spawn, and then we can go kill the boss, and it will give us the last item that we need to complete the stage. But right now, it's just farm out a lot of sunflower metals, because it's weird. Because after you get to 200 kills, these sunflowers just somehow don't spawn, and that means you can't really farm metals in order to get the item that we're going to need after this. Well, after the quest after this. Well, after this first quest of Chapter 2, I should say. Because after this stage, we're going to have to go ahead and work on Famitsu. And Famitsu, unfortunately, in this game sucks. She has the worst damage. She is not... like, her attacks are okay, it's just that her damage scaling is just bad. So we're just going to go ahead, finish up Dengekiko's thing here, and we're just going to go ahead and just go through some more plot. There's something to be said about the game's plot where it's very much an excuse plot. We're just going to go ahead for now, tear through things with Famitsu as best she can with her shrimp, lobster, crawfish plushie. The voice acting is saying shrimp, but sometimes the Japanese is like saying crawfish. I don't know. It's just weird. But her damage potential here, it's ugly. It's very ugly. Like, even with the crits, she's only doing like 400 damage, 500 damage, when other people's crits would be doing, I don't know, 1,000, 1,200. It's not pleasant. Now, because of that really bad damage, we have a little bit more of a measured stance against these enemies. When you're trying to kill things with the untransformed Famitsu, you have to go ahead and hit them 2-3 times. And then when you're doing this, doing your fights with the transformed version, 1 or 2 hits is fine. Just make sure that you have to hit them with the first few hits, because sometimes the 4th hit does not actually kill them as much as you like them to. So right now, since her EXE is garbage, absolutely garbage, we're just going to go ahead and rely on this blender attack, her blender EXE, to just tear through this guy as fast as possible, and rely on these SP bulls to help give us more SP to keep fueling our skills, because every net bull you take is actually 2 bars of SP that you can use for actually killing things, and Famitsu really does need that, because her EXE really sucks. So, after we complete the 4 initial quests of Chapter 1, we get to deal with the plot of the game. And the plot is like 7/8 of, hey, let's go ahead and get out there, do quests, make ourselves look really awesome, and actually impress the general populace of game industry in how good we are at doing things. So, since we're so good at doing things, we're gonna go ahead and go grab the last quest that we're gonna need in order to grab the first thing that we need, first item that we're gonna need for this run, which is called the Scramble Engine. Now, as I said a little bit earlier, you normally need 91 kills in order to be able to, before the character, before at least one of your characters can transform. But with the Scramble Engine, you skip that step by having the bar be already completely filled at the start of the quest. So the Sunflower Metals is the primary gate. It's the one gate that we need to get the Scramble Engine that we're gonna need to start this whole thing off. Ugh. Also, try not to get hit in the face by the Allrunes. I learned the hard way that if you do that, they one-shot you. I played this game a lot, and I've seen a lot of weird, dumb things happen. And after I managed to finally upgrade my computer for this kind of run, I started seeing some extra weird things pop up every now and then. But on the other hand, loading times are faster, and I don't have to worry about weird things happening every now and then. I mean, the game can crash sometimes, but that's only if you try to do a cold boot of the computer. But now that we got it, we got our 150 kills, 150 medals that we need for this, and hey, here's our Scramble Engine. Now we're gonna equip it on literally everybody as simple. That's just really just muscle memory dealing with all this. So now that we got the first item out of the way, we're gonna go grab the second item, and it's gonna come from these turrets. The totally not Tetris block sentient. Look, I don't know. Sometimes the Neptunia enemy design can be really weird sometimes. The doggos and pixel bears are nice, but then you get these guys. Just what? But we got to go farm them. So we're gonna go ahead. This is just the start of it. We need a lot of turret kills. We only get to have 120 here for now, but we do need a lot more later. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was originally running this on the laptop, Ox. I originally ran this for so many years on the laptop, and now I have an actual PC. So this is a little bit better. All right, so now that we've did that quest, we start to get these irregular quests that show up, but weirdly enough, they don't actually show up until after you do one additional quest. So we're doing the one that's fast, and this is the one that's fast. And there's also some turrets that help us pad the medal count a little bit, possibly, maybe, but usually they don't happen because this fight is way too easy, and also way too short. Also, whales are jerks. If you ever let them attack, they have a 10-second invincibility period where you really can't hit them. So whatever you do, don't let them attack. So now that we finally unlocked the irregular quests and this cutscene explains about them, it's like, hey, these conditions are like the quest text is weird and the victory conditions are obscured. We're gonna go and do the first one of these. There's 10 of them, and we gotta do all of them in order to advance past Chapter 2. But this first one, since the turrets are guarding the item that we're gonna need for literally the entire rest of the run, we're gonna go farm them. And that particular item is called the Maximizing Kit X. It's the midline between of the three, where there's a regular and then there's an EX version. The EX version has a much stricter drops from a specific enemy group where we're not going to see them in this run. And then the other one is... So, we're going to go grab the X version since it's on the way, essentially. And we do have to do a restart for this quest because otherwise we would not farm the medals that we need in order to actually get the items, in order to get the Maximizing Kit X. And it's the same as the Sunflower medals, and it's set at 150. But sometimes you do want to go ahead and put in a little bit of extra buffer, just in case you get RNG screwed like heck and end up with 149 medals. That sucks. That sucks a lot. And unfortunately, that did happen to Ox when we were doing our race a few years ago. Sorry. But, yeah. Maybe you might want to go in 185, maybe you might want to go 190. Probably not going to like 240 or something like I absentmindedly do sometimes. Because, I don't know, my brain was having a brain fart that time. But, yeah. You want to go ahead and farm. But, yeah. Since this quest is going to ask you to kill 531 of these guys, you got some buffer, hopefully. Usually the gold turret shows up and gives you quite a bit more. But not always. It's a weird RNG thing. And there's quite a lot of small weird RNG things that this game has, but there's none of them that are truly completely run-endingly bad. I mean, we're going to have one awful quest later on that's going to suck, but even that's not going to really stop you too much. So, now that we've finished the quest, and hey, we have at least 150 mils. Here's our maximizing kit X, and now we equip it on literally everybody. And in fact, we gotta equip it not just on their untransformed versions, but their transformed versions, because since they're treated as separate characters, we kind of need to make sure that everybody, well, not really everybody, but most everybody has it equipped. And for Ram, especially, it's a huge increase on her damage potential, because since her point-blank ice attack while transformed deals 11 hits, moderately okay damage, but it scales a lot better when you have the maximizing kit on. So, now we're going to go ahead, go through the rest of the area quest. This one is just, hey, here's a bunch of dolans trying to ambush you. EXE, dead. This one is a weird one, where it's a weird simultaneous kill thing, but sometimes you can, but there's a little bit of a buffer between kills. And about a 2-3 seconds buffer before the game detects that says, hey, wait a minute, you didn't kill both of them. Get out of here, restart. But hey, we're within that buffer, we got them, we're good. Also, I accidentally deployed Blanc there as it's a sympathy deploy, because otherwise she's not going to be seeing much use. Well, she's not going to be seeing any use in this run. And unfortunately, even my weird bits of testing earlier, I did not find any use for her yet, unfortunately. So for now, we're dealing with another weird quest. Here's two bosses, except you can't damage with normal attacks unless for some weird reason you switch between characters to temporarily remove their invulnerability. Yeah, it's kind of weirdly coded like that. And we used to have I used to use Ram for that, but it turns out Vert ended up doing a better job of just killing them. Now for this quest, it's time to play, hey, who's the fast tulip? Hey, the fast tulip was very nice and ran past me. And that's actually pretty good, because there's a little optimization you do, is make sure you use your EXE, but make sure you have that super fast tulip behind you so that you don't have to deal with the detransformation animation afterwards. So, now we're done with that. Now we're going to go to the snowfield with Vert, and we're going to go do a little bit of hide and seek, with us being it. There's 5 Doggo men just hiding out in this field in roughly the same locations. It's a little weird, but if you know where they are roughly, then yeah, you can get them to spawn. It's the killing them part that's harder, because sometimes Kinestra Dance doesn't have a huge enough AoE to hit them, and just like that, hey, that guy barely survived. Jerk. Now, this quest. This upcoming quest. The Metal Hell Grind quest. And I'm actually going to go ahead and use Uni for this, because I was actually testing something before this run, and we're going to go ahead and actually do a little something different here, because unlike, because when you compare Uni and Ram, Uni is actually slower, but she has a much longer firing range. Even with a 3-shot burst, it actually hits a it hits a lot longer than you would expect. And I've been testing it, just random tests before this actual marathon run, and it feels like that she actually ends up getting a few seconds faster than Ram, even though Ram has the faster move speed, simply because the longer range and the small explosion she has at the end of that actually helps out at killing some of these guys faster, and it helps deal. It's like, at least it means I'm not using Ram so much, because Ram's usually the one that's used during this quest, but even though she has the faster move speed, she has a shorter range, and sometimes that shorter range is oftentimes fine when those 11 hits actually are actually needed, but we only really need one hit, or sometimes two. This is entirely fine. And it sometimes feels like, even with the weird RNG that this stage has, you can sometimes get a little bit faster with Uni. It feels like it, at the very least, from the initial test I was running. And at the very least, I want to try using someone that isn't Ram, because as much as it is helpful to help build up her EXP for the final battle, for the final stage of battle, I just want to go ahead and use someone else for this one, and it sometimes feels like the extra range helps. So, yeah, it's just really pure RNG, Ox. It's at this point, it's more about the metal RNG. Like, if you're gonna go ahead and farm the 80 metals required of that, it's probably gonna be determined more by if you can get like 370 or something instead of like a 450. And I've seen that go all the way. I've seen that range go from 368 to 484, and it sucked. As for that quest that we just did, it really is just pick Vert, attack the whale with a skill, because for whatever reason that boss does not take damage from EXE attacks or regular attacks. It has to be skills. So for this quest, it doesn't really feel like an actual regular quest. I mean, we got Pixel Vaders, a bunch of Pixel Vaders. We don't have to kill 100 in order to get the boss to spawn. Hey, there's a boss. Let's go kill it. It doesn't really feel like a regular quest. It at least doesn't feel really interesting anyway. But yeah, it was a really simple quest. And now, for the final quest of Chapter 2, it's time for another item collection hunt. And because of the item collection, since all the items are just out on the field, we can just have Vert collect all of them. I may have been suffering from weird input weirdness, but whatever. It might just be between me and the controller. We'll see. But yeah, there are 16 of these items we gotta go collect, and 16 items, and it's fairly consistent. Dagus can sometimes ruin the consistency, but it's not nearly as bad as the Metal Hell quest that we've gone through. So, we got all the items, and hey, we're done with Chapter 2. And after we're done with Chapter 2, we get to go ahead and deal with some more plot. And the plot of this is, hey, there's this next-gen mech that's trying to tear up things over in game industry. What's this fool doing about? And it's with this Chapter 3, it's dealing about the next-gen mech, but honestly, the next-gen mech is not really an actual enemy as far as plot goes. It's just there. It's just a jerk because for whatever reason, it starts off with an invincibility barrier that we can't break yet because plot reasons. So for now, we're going to go ahead and build up for the final battle TM. And we're going to go ahead and go through all this plot. All the plot from the City Watch. Before we go ahead, try and do the final battle. Well, attempt that final battle and not really go anywhere with that final battle because of that aforementioned invincibility barrier. And it's weird because this is 7 years at this point, but when I first played this game on the PlayStation Vita, although it was on a PSTV, I fought this boss, fought this quest, and it took me a good 10 to 15 minutes before I realized I can't kill this boss. My EXP doesn't do anything, my SP skills don't do anything, my regular attacks don't do anything, and that just means I have to go lose. So yeah, that's Neptunia U's customary one unwinnable battle. It's the only one, but it's the one with the invincibility of the barrier that we have to deal with. The version of this boss that you fight over on the Neptunia Tower has a lot more HP, but it doesn't have this barrier. It's kind of weird like that. And the thing that we're going to be using to break that barrier is only ever used once when we fight this boss for real. And then in order to get that thing, we have to first go through more plot, where it's like, okay, we gotta go retreat, we can't do this right now. So we're gonna have to go find a way to go kill this boss. And so, with that said, we're gonna go ahead, get the, well, we're still going through more plot, but afterwards, we're gonna go ahead, go through the Volcano path, and obtain the things that we're gonna need to kill that boss. And the first one is with the journalists, and they have the hardest, legitimate, quest in this entire run. So let me go ahead and start this off for you. This quest asks for a recommended level 30. We're level 10, sometimes level 9, sometimes level 8. Yeah, that's partly a weirdness to my new rig, but yeah, you're very badly under-leveled here. In addition, because we are using the Maximizing Kit X, we are sitting in at no defense. We have some HP, but we got no defense. So these guys would kick our butts really, really hard. The Doggo Men have a paralyzed attack and would kill us in 2 hits, while the Mushroom Men may have a slow attack, but if they hit us with that, it's a one-shot. Now, I've actually managed to get hit while transformed, and it turns out that Denkekiko can survive an otherwise one-shot from these Mushroom Men, but if she gets hit again, yeah, no, she's getting dunked on. So yeah, don't get hit. Really, that's pretty much the entire thing that you need to worry about with this first part of the quest. The second part is not going to be an issue because we're just going to go ahead and barrier skip. And yeah, no, we're just oh no, what are you guys doing? Oh jeez. All right. But yeah, we're gonna just tear through all these mushrooms because yeah, they're also very tough. As if being super powerful isn't bad enough, they also have to be tanky. At least as far as our regular levels concerned. If we're at least level, if we're at the recommended level, it might be a little better, or at least not completely garbage. But yeah, don't get hit. Take advantage of the fact that you can stun lock these guys pretty much by hitting them. Just tap them once, really. Just hit them, and then they won't try to throw a very dangerously powerful attack on you. I'm gonna go ahead and play a little safe, throw some skills at them. They're dead, and now we can go ahead and go deal with the barrier skip. The barrier skip is kind of simple. Well, not really simple, but you do it a few times and boom, you're past the barrier already. Just wiggle past it. Make sure you're using Dengeki. Make sure you're using Dengeki go for it because she can skip past it better. Just hit boss things. And then hey, the boss has spawned. Oh hey, we're just gonna kill it. And I'm gonna go ahead and make sure. There you go. I couldn't do that on the first one, but on this second one, yeah, you can just go ahead, maneuver your Dengekiko's EXP in such a way where after you kill a boss, you can just drop, despawn, drop the item that you're gonna need, and if you get the item while still in that EXP, you don't have to deal with the detransformation animation. So, on to Vert. since these trial quests are based on Nation plus the journalists, Vert has to go at this alone, unfortunately. So that means we gotta go kill 985 of these Koopo Kitties and Pumpkinmon. The actual enemy names are a little different, but we're just gonna go Koopo Kitties and Pumpkinmon. I think I usually call them boss birds, but no, it turned out to be the metal of this referred to them as a different thing, but it's fine. Now, this is where it really gets obvious that there's a bit of a bottleneck going on, because you might notice we're only seeing these five pumpkin birds type enemies just still going around, while the Koopo Kitties are already all dead. It's one of those weird little bits of optimization where you have to make sure you're actively aiming for these pumpkin bird type enemies. So make sure you're killing them. Make sure you're aiming your attacks with Vert towards them, because they're the ones that are going to slow you down for this. Because once you kill 95, hey, the barrier disappears, and hey, you can go get to this area. There's where 3 dolphins pop up, and you can go kill them. And once you kill them, quest complete. But yeah, it's usually during this quest that you get to really understand that this is a Tamsoft game, and they're the ones that made Senran Kagura a thing. And it's usually around this point where, usually some point in that first area where Vert outfits breaks a bit, and like, yeah, this is a Senran Kagura thing. What if? Who'd have thunk it? But yeah, after we complete the second of the 5 trials, we actually get a little cutscene going in to explain how this power works, and that's the reason why it's second is in case you pick Vert first. So now we're here. We're here dealing with Louis' trial, and well, with Louis you have 3 choices, but really it's just Ram and then whoever, or not anybody if you want to. And unfortunately, Blanc gets left out of this because, other than a weird possibility where you can have one of her skills kill one of the ghosts that you need to kill in the Samite's Quill irregular quest faster, she doesn't really have any use for this quest. She doesn't really have any use for this run, at least as far as the any percent run is concerned. If you're trying to do 100% quests, there's a few quests where she is absolutely forced in, including a single quest where she's forced to fight solo. But that is not this quest, so we're just gonna go ahead. Come on, whales, please group up a little fast. Better. There you go. Again, don't let them attack. 10-second invincibility kind of sucks. But at least they're nice enough to move a little close and then get Kit completely destroyed by Ram's EXE, in which she just completely destroys everything else as usual. But yeah, after we finish this, we have to go into the last station trial, and that one's pretty fun because it has the silliest skip in the entire game. Because all you just have to do is dash at the barrier in the corner the right way, and you can just zip past it. Like that. It's a weird, the way I do it is just like a weird quarter circle left to up motion. And then afterwards it's just, hey, here's some more rival mechs. Oh, come on, guys. But yeah, unfortunately, Noir's most effective attack is literally just spam this heavy attack over and over again. It roots her in place, and you gotta be careful to not get hit too much like that, but hit these rival mechs a few times, and then you can just EXE and just finish it off. I usually go by count of like 12 to 13 before I EXE, but it's okay. I think I used a couple more because I wasn't counting, but it's fine. Now that we finished this off, we're going to go ahead and deal with Planetombs. trial. And that just means it's back to Neptune and Netgear, and they're gonna blend. Well, Neptune's gonna blend. Alright. Now, again, there's a little bit of bottlenecking involved. This time it's with the pie shells. Because, once again, like the Pumpkinmon, the White Pumpkinmon, these only spawn 5 at a time, while the Dogwoman and the Ghosts are just spawning in at a lot more than 5. There's still plenty of them that you gotta kill. And so sometimes you have to be a little bit more considerate about enemy spacing. You gotta make sure you're actually attacking the enemies. It's like as soon as their life bar disappears and they start running their death animation, just aim away from them, dash away from them. Just get out of their, get out of the way so that they can die and spawn in more of the pie shells, because they're the ones that are usually gonna bottleneck this part. Afterwards, we get to go and do the same skip that we did with the CPU article, but this time with a transformed Neptune instead of an untransformed Neptune. And yeah, hey, this is Barry again. How you doing? Bye. Just get out of here. So yeah, we literally recycled that skip. It's goofy. And then afterwards, we get to go ahead and spawn here. Spawn the enemies here. And oh hey, they're there. Just have to kill the huge doggoos. We don't have to kill anything else here. And then we're just already done. And now, after we finish all 5 of the trials of the 4 nations plus the journalists, we finally obtained the power that we need in order to actually defeat the final boss. And we start off doing that by waking up early, by the CPUs waking up early, trying to charge at that boss. And Kenneth's going, hey, wait a minute, they woke up early. Let's go after them. And then the journalist just pops up and say, hi, we're here. And then we're going to go ahead and let them, and then they all go in together to fight the final boss. And we're going to have the final boss by just letting Vert and Bram do the usual and just kicking the boss's face open. So, now that we finally can fight the final boss, we're going to fight the final boss by using this one power that doesn't really get used in any other context because it's very slow. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. And then afterwards, we gotta make sure we actually use our skill before the boss hits us with an attack, because usually it uses the fast melee attack and it just wrecks us if we don't use the skill. If we do use the skill, we can use the invincibility to not get hit by that attack. And then we just go ahead and dunk on this boss. It's not too hard once you understand that once you understand that you gotta use your skill quickly. It's just 6 Canester dances and then 2 EXCs, and then you're done here. So, time is gonna go ahead and be when the boss disappears and the screen fades to white. And we're done.
Gosh, game industry was way too peaceful. It was so boring. I wish I could have played with everyone a bit longer.
37-21.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. That's pretty typical. That's pretty typical of my runs these days, especially the upgrade computer. So, I'm gonna go ahead and let this cutscene play out, because I just want to go ahead and laugh a little bit, because, look, Neptune's thinking, hey, this is a final boss that's supposed to be really tough and all, and as I've demonstrated, it's not really a tough boss at all, it's just, you just cheese it to death. Because basically everything in this game you can just destroy, because they don't have they don't have a whole lot of, like, super armor of sorts where they can resist being stun-locked to death. And that boss and once you strip the invincibility off of that boss, it's dead. It gets completely wrecked really quickly. But yeah, this is a nice, really good run. Didn't have any extreme mess ups or anything, just some weirdness, but otherwise, it's actually a fairly simple run. It's very fast. And as I've demonstrated like a lot of times, it's also fairly repeatable. It's not very hard on your hands. It's maybe a little bit of mashing, not that much mashing, but yeah, it's not too hard. But yeah, that's Neptunia U. It's not a crazy run. There's some barrier skips, there's some little bits of weirdness, but yeah, it's all in all, it's not too hard. But yeah, thank you all for watching me run through Neptunia U. I mean, we could technically let this play out, but I don't know, we got some time. But hey, this is a fun little run. It's a fun little game. It's always just have to wait for this to come. If you want to go ahead and take this on, I mean, as always, just wait for a Steam sale or a GOG sale, and you might be able to find this for at least 75% off, and then you can try and go through this game. Just have to make sure that you, if you're one of those completionist types, try not to go through Chapter 2 or Chapter 3 too quickly. But otherwise, yeah, fun little run, fun little game. Thank you all for watching. I'm Ozdhaka, and we'll see you next time.